With just weeks to go before the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we've had our second hands-on opportunity, and now, on the eve of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo's appearance on PS5, we can finally share our thoughts from the first few hours of the game. We're going to gloss over our time with the first chapter, which sees you running through Nibelheim, and the reactor mission, because that's something that we were able to cover last year, so go check out our first preview if you want to see about that. We also all know what happened here, though we will add that watching Sephiroth's psychotic breakdown happen in real time and in glorious 4K is a treat for lore lovers like us. Square Enix has gone to great lengths to flesh out an integral part of the story that was over with relatively quickly in the original game on PlayStation 1. Plus, running around Shinra Manor in almost mouth-watering detail is always going to be a treat. It's like thinking back to childhood, but you're swapping rose-tinted glasses for actual prescription specs, and this is glorious. But it's not as glorious as what comes next, and that is Kalm with a K. Where Chapter 1 is retelling the story of Sephiroth at the reactor for the party members who weren't there, Chapter 2 is where the game puts meat onto the bones. What starts with watching Red 13 yawn in ultra-high definition, continues with fleshing out the world that we find ourselves in. Half of your party thinks that you're a bit of an arse, which is totally fair at this point in time, and you have to begin a slow process of building up those relationships with others. This also forms part of the tutorial process for this game, introducing you to new characters and mechanics as you go. As you then explore the town, you come across possibly the most exciting addition to this game, the all-new card game Queen's Blood, or QB as the cool NPCs like to call it. Triple Triad fans beware, because this game is a lot of fun, and it feels like a kind of pared-down version of Marvel Snap. Not only do you get to play this minigame involving the monsters of the land, but you get to spend your time in collecting cards and ranking up to be the greatest player of all time. Sadly, we were told that there are no known plans to make physical QB cards, but if they do relent and make some, then you know that they're going to be in high demand. While these minigames are never the real reason for plopping down your hard-earned cash, those of us who love the likes of Blitzball or, God help them, Fort Condor from the Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC will be pleased to know that QB appears to be genuinely fun and well designed. The idea is to get more points in a row than your opponent. Those rows add to your score, but not the opponent if you manage to do so. But unlike in Snap, which is simply a game of winning 2 rows, how much you win by becomes crucial to whether you're going to win in this game. This led to some interesting times in the first few matches that we played, and we're looking forward to seeing how this pans out when you have a sizable collection and much more experienced NPCs to go up against. Getting out of Kalm and into the grasslands that surround it, we come across not only open world roaming, but also another new mechanic, item crafting. That's right, with your handy new item transmuter, you can collect ingredients out in the field, put them together, and then brew yourself a potion or a Phoenix Down, which is a little bit weird considering that Phoenix Down is literally just a feather from a firebird. As you brew more things, then you will also learn how to brew more things, expanding the repertoire of items that you can make. With the ingredients for these transmutations simply lying around the overworld, the expectation is that the players will be actively rewarded for exploration. Zooming out on the world map, and it does look like there's a fair old chunk for you to explore out there. And given how open world exploration was a huge part of the original Final Fantasy VII, and how the linearity of the Part 1 of this remake trilogy was one of its biggest criticisms, then fans will no doubt be pleased by the chance to stretch Cloud's legs, or if you fancy it, some Chocobo legs. Unsurprisingly, if you can complete the minigame where you have to sneak up on and catch a Chocobo, then you get to ride on your newfound feathery friend. The open world, as we previously saw, plays home to much more than just crafting and open spaces. There's baby Chocobo to find and Chocobo stops to restore, and there's also the new Fiend sightings, which give you battles against the local fauna with special modifiers and challenges in place. These are great for brushing up on the new synergy abilities that feed into the party-based combat. However, be aware that this is still a chapter-based game, with certain characters being added in along the way. In our previous preview, we covered how Yuffie is met, and the key art shows off Vincent, so it feels like the optional characters are a fair bit less optional this time around. Hopefully what will follow is a huge open world where chapters trigger based on when you get across the map and into the next town, with plenty of free roam in between. And all in all, what we've seen from the opening few hours is very exciting, and we cannot wait to get our hands on the full release later this month. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is out exclusively for PlayStation 5 on 29th of February, which is the rarest of possible release dates that you can find. We hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen here, and make sure to go and check out that Final Fantasy demo, which is just going live on the PlayStation Store. Before you disappear off to do that though, please do the usual YouTube things of liking, subscribing, clicking bell icons, you know the drill, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!
Morning.
Everyone's kinda off doing their own thing.
I noticed.
Say, this tank remind you of anything?